Hi. On the 1st of August 2019, a public meeting was held in Port Elizabeth. The meeting was hosted by Nelson Mandela Bay Tourism following the public outcry after the spill in Algoa Bay the previous month. The aim of the meeting was to listen and to take note of the public's concern regarding the subject of this talk. Ship-to-ship bunkering in Algoa Bay. In her presentation, Ronelle used the analogy with gambling. Gambling is defined as taking a risk in the hope of a favourable outcome. In this case, the favourable outcome is that our biodiversity is not destroyed. You will see that to gamble is the verb that best describes what is happening here. My name is Tony, and in the next slide I'm going to go through the topics that I'll be covering in this talk. I'll start by explaining ship-to-ship refuelling at sea, or ship-to-ship bunkering, what it is and why it's done, and the initiative driving this increased exploration of our oceans. I will then remind you of the rich plant and animal life in our bay and highlight some of the awards that Nelson Mandela Bay has earned. And in the last section, I'll relate a few of the concerns expressed by the public at the meeting in August. So what is ship-to-ship refuelling at sea? Ship-to-ship bunkering is a process whereby fuel is transferred from a delivery vessel to a receiving vessel while at sea. Refuelling at sea is attractive because the vessel doesn't need to come into harbour and therefore doesn't have to pay additional docking fees. In South Africa, SAMSA is responsible for the issuing of bunkering licenses. There are currently 3 bunkering operators. The first license was issued in 2016, the second in 2018, and the third in 2019. Each bunkering operator has one holding vessel where the fuel is stored and anywhere from 2 to 4 delivery vessels. Environmentally, ship-to-ship bunkering has been identified across the world as a dangerous operation. It poses risks to the ecology because of toxic fuel spillages, ship collisions, fuel emissions, and noise generated by the increase of vessels in the bay. The fuels used for bunkering in Algoa Bay are heavy fuel oil, or HFO, and intermediate fuel oil, or IFO. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the composition of these fuels later in the talk. So what is driving this push for profits from the sea? It's called the blue economy, and it's the international term describing the industrial revolution of the oceans. South Africa's Blue Economy Initiative has been named Operation Phakisa. I hope I'm pronouncing Phakisa correctly. It was announced on the 19th of July 2014 by the then President Jacob Zuma. Phakisa translates to hurry up. The World Wildlife Fund begins its report on the principles for a sustainable blue economy with, for some, blue economy means the use of the sea and its resources for sustainable economic development. It then continues. For others, it simply refers to any economic activity in the maritime sector, whether sustainable or not. In January 2020, I attended a conference on ocean governance. This is a slide from one of the presentations. It highlights the current as well as the planned activities driven by this blue economy. We are talking with great excitement how new technologies will bring about the industrial revolution of the oceans. The prospects of mining the oceans, minerals, oil, gas, creating industrial strength farms under the water, and increasing ocean transportation of cargo and oil, to name just a few. We all know the fallout caused by the profit-driven land industrial revolution. But let's look at the lives that we are gambling with here in Algoa Bay. I will start with our endangered species. 2 of the world's most important seabird colonies are found in Algoa Bay. The islands of Algoa Bay are home to the largest breeding colony of endangered African penguins on our planet, roughly half of the total world population. St. Croix Island is the most important penguin breeding island in the bay, but not for much longer if things continue as they are. Since 2015, the number of penguins has declined drastically. However, the decline is not the same across the 4 islands in Algoa Bay, and you'll see why. This graph shows the percentage drop in penguin pairs from January 2015 to December 2019. The colour bars indicate the percentage drop at each of the 4 islands. At Jahil, the drop was 3.9%. Seal Island had a drop of 1.9%, Bird Island 9.8%, but the highest decline was at St. Croix Island, a staggering 84%. Why? St. Croix is the closest island to Anchorage 2, one of the 2 bunkering areas. You will see the position on a map later in this talk. But let's pause for a second. I'm presenting percentages, but let's not forget that we are talking about loss of lives here. 114 penguins were covered in oil and destined to death on the 6th of July 2019. Lloyd took this photograph on St. Croix Island during the rescue operation the day after the spill. Here's our next endangered species. Bird Island holds the largest Cape Gannet breeding colony on Earth. 250,000 Cape Gannets can be seen here, 2/3 of the global population. In addition to the penguins, 13 Cape Gannets were contaminated in the oil spill. Our Indian Ocean humpback dolphins are now listed as critically endangered. These dolphins are found close to the shore in shallow water. There are less than 500 at present. Apart from our endangered resident species, we are also home to Indo-Pacific bottlenose dolphins. Schools of between 50 and 600 individuals are frequently spotted by marine cruisers. Nowhere else in the world are such large schools seen. This is the reason why, on the 18th of April 2016, Nelson Mandela Bay celebrated its new title as the bottlenose dolphin capital of the world. The bay is also home to Cape fur seals and 5 out of the 7 existing species of turtles, most of them highly threatened. Apart from birds and dolphins, 1/4 of the world's other aquatic mammals visit or live in Algoa Bay. The sardine-eating Brutus whale is a resident, as is the minke whale. They are particularly active at the end of summer as they take advantage of our annual sardine run. Lloyd took this photograph of the feeding frenzy that takes place with every sardine run. And our sharks. Sharks were given a bad name by movies like Jaws, but sharks are essential to ocean ecosystem. Healthy oceans depend on sharks. This is a spotted ragged-toothed shark. We are also home to great whites, to smooth hammerheads, and to common thresher sharks. Let me now introduce you to some of the visitors to our bay. I mentioned the sardine run. It happens each year during April and May and has been named the greatest fish migration on the planet. Shoals of sardines up to 7 kilometers long make their way past Algoa Bay and up the east coast of South Africa. Each year, whales migrate from the icy waters of Antarctica to mate, give birth, and rear their young in our warmer waters. They put on a spectacular show of immense power and entertaining acrobatics. Humpback and southern right whales can be seen in the area between June and January. Jake captured this one beautifully. Orcas are also common visitors to our bay. Although they are also called killer whales, orcas are not actually whales. They are the largest dolphin species. Apart from being the bottlenose dolphin capital of the world, Algoa Bay has received other nominations. Hope spots are special places that are scientifically identified as critical to the health of the ocean. It's easy to see why Algoa Bay was declared a hope spot by Dr. Sylvia Earle in 2014. Algoa Bay is an important area for ocean and marine research, both for local as well as international universities and research institutions. One would think that this is all worthy of protection. As already mentioned, Nelson Mandela Bay Tourism hosted a public meeting after the oil spill in July 2019. The meeting took place on the 1st of August in Port Elizabeth. Following the meeting, a comprehensive concern report was compiled. The report voiced the concerns expressed in the press and by those who attended the public meeting. In January 2020, the 46-page report was presented to Minister Barbara Creecy in the Department of Environment, Forests and Fisheries. The report was also sent to the ministers in the Department of Tourism and the Department of Transport. You can read or download the concerned report via the link on our Facebook page or the link which is given below the description for this video on our YouTube channel. This is the mission statement on the DEF's website. We were convinced that Minister Barbara Creecy would be grateful for the information contained in the report. But we were wrong. Never mind gratitude, we have received no feedback from the DEF. Clearly we are not going to leave it here, but it is sad that we struggle to get a response from the very department, to use their own words, mandated with protecting the environment. Let me share some of the concerns expressed by the Nelson Mandela public, which have been included in the report. I will highlight 3 concerns: the risk of irreversible damage to our natural resources, the fact that no environmental impact assessment study was ever performed, and the risk of job losses to Nelson Mandela Bay communities. We are not the only ones concerned with the risk to our natural resources. The very department issuing the bunkering licenses have this to say. This is a statement made by the South African Maritime Safety Authority, SAMSA. You will find it on their website. The blog also covers the 2-day Maritime Risks Workshop. Apart from being a board member, Ms. Molemani is the chairperson of SAMSA's Maritime Industry Committee. Here is part of her address, which you will find on the same page. I have subtitled her talk.
And lastly, the Department of Environmental Affairs Pollution Combating Action has out-of-date foam and oil dispersant, as well as inadequate pollution combating equipment. That with passage of time, the capability that the Department of Transport required in order to respond to marine emergency has been largely diminished. In most cases, both in terms of skill capability, capacity, and the equipment, as well as the institutional memory.
Unfortunately, 4 months later, she was proven right. 130 birds were covered in oil and destined to certain death. 114 of these were endangered African penguins. So here's the concern in the form of a question. If SAMSA know the shortcomings about the response to maritime emergencies, why are they issuing bunkering licenses before measures are in place to deal with accidents? Let me now tell you about the nature of the oils used for bunkering in Algoa Bay: HFO and IFO. HFO, also known as residual fuel, is basically heated tar. It is sticky, so sticky that it has to be heated to allow it to flow. IFO is a blend of marine gas oil, MGO, and HFO. These residual oils are the last section of the cracking and distillation process of crude oil and are contaminated with impurities, including sulfur and nitrogen compounds, as well as various metallic compounds. But they are relatively cheap, and of course, for this reason, the preferred fuel for marine vessels. As far as birds are concerned, there are serious consequences. When oil sticks to a bird's feather, it causes them to mat and separate, impairing waterproofing and exposing the animal's sensitive skin to extremes in temperature. Secondly, instinctively, the bird tries to get the oil off its feathers by preening. This results in the animal ingesting the oil and causing severe damage to its internal organs. The third major problem with bunker fuel spills is caused by a contaminant known as dimethyl sulfide, DMS, which is contained in bunker fuel. The problem is that DMS smells like seafood. So during an oil spill, DMS is released into the water, and because it smells like food, it attracts birds and fish to the spill site. HFO has been classed by the Global Harmonized System as a dangerous substance. It's labeled as extremely toxic to aquatic environment with long-lasting effects. This is an industry with big numbers, and yet no EIA study was ever done. Let's look at some of these numbers. 95,715,000 litres is the volume of oil that the main holding vessel of one of the bunkering operators has floating on Algoa Bay. These big numbers tend to lose meaning, so let me put this in perspective for you. 95,715,000 litres is equivalent to the volume of fuel that 468 medium-sized land-based fuel stations hold in their tanks. So here's the concern. A medium-sized fuel station holds 205,000 litres. In order to store 205,000 litres on land, you are required to present an environmental impact assessment study amongst many other requirements before a license is issued. On the other hand, to store 468 times that amount next to a marine protected area, you are not even required to complete an environmental impact assessment study. And we are talking about heavy fuel oil here. Am I missing something? Just a reminder that 95,715,000 is the volume for one bunkering operator. We have 3. But let's see where these fuel transfers are taking place. The Addo Elephant National Park MPA, or Marine Protected Area, was proclaimed and gazetted by the Department of Environmental Affairs, DEA, on the 23rd of May 2019. It was established to protect a wide range of ecosystems, including sandy beaches, rocky shores, reefs, an estuary, and islands. Let me put the MPA on a map. These are the islands that I mentioned earlier. They are all within the MPA. And incredibly, these are the areas where ship-to-ship bunkering fuel takes place. Anchorage 2, where the latest spill occurred, and Anchorage 1, which is just off the map to the left. It is so incredible that I need to state it again. Despite it being next to the Addo MPA and close to the world's largest colony of endangered African penguins, no EIA study was ever performed prior to the licenses being issued for bunkering in the 2 anchorage areas. There are demarcated areas controlled light blue and restricted dark blue. Not sure what these mean, but one thing is for certain. Neither the heavy fuel oil nor the plant and animal life swimming around the bay will recognize the area borders. You can now appreciate why the greatest loss of penguin lives, 84%, was at St. Croix Island. Apart from oil spills, these commercial activities increase vessel traffic in the bay. With increased traffic comes an increase in ocean noise, which affects all animals, but particularly marine mammals. The increased traffic also increases the risk of vessel strikes. The next public concern deals with human beings. In order to get support, projects are often sold to local communities under the guise of job creation opportunities. This is an emotional issue, understandably so, considering the current situation with unemployment in South Africa. However, we must be careful and always consider the big picture. Nelson Mandela Bay is setting itself up to be the water sport capital of South Africa. Port Elizabeth is the only city in Africa to host the international Ironman competition. On our seabeds, the diversity of marine invertebrates, soft corals and nudibranches is one of the richest on our planet, making Algoa Bay a world attraction for scuba diving and snorkeling. We know that 3.4 million individuals visited Nelson Mandela Bay in 2017. They didn't come here for our shopping malls. You will agree that this is simply ecotourism heaven. Here then are some more numbers. 40,227 is the number of local individuals whose jobs were directly linked to industries supported by tourists in 2017. Here's another number, 53. This is the number of local jobs created by bunkering since it started in 2016. This number was given by the acting CEO of SAMSA, Mr. Tilai, at a workshop in Port Elizabeth. If we compromise our natural wealth, we will lose our visitors. No one wants to swim in an ocean, even if there's a perception that it is contaminated with oil. The vast numbers of ships anchored in our bay waiting to be fueled is not an attractive sight. I counted 45 one day. We may even lose events such as the Ironman competition. If we do, how much will this number reduce by? But at the same workshop, Mr. Tilai asked a very valid question. It is an important question and one that needs to be answered. Does Port Elizabeth want to promote itself as a tourist destination, or continue to be an industrial city as it has always been? Unlike us, they don't have a choice over their destiny. Homo sapiens have appointed themselves sole decision makers when it comes to choosing the destiny of all other creatures that share this planet with us. I believe that with genuine cooperation between the various tourist organizations, industry and environmental groups, a win-win situation can be reached. We need your help to create awareness. If protecting our biodiversity is something that resonates with you, please go and like our Facebook page. You will then be notified of our posts, which you are free to share. You can also send us an email and let us include you in our distribution list. We do not send out newsletters. We will only email you to inform you of an important issue, to invite you to a video conference or a physical location meeting whenever those will be safe again, or we may ask you to sign a petition. We also have a YouTube channel where we load videos such as this one. There you can also watch our recommended videos and documentaries. You will find them in our playlists folder. To subscribe to our channel, open YouTube in your internet browser, type Algoa Bay Conservation in the search field and press enter. Our channel should be close to the top. Just click on subscribe. If you have any ideas, suggestions or comments, we would love to hear from you. I would like to thank you very much for watching this video.